Hello and welcome to Conversations. I'm Dr. David Dobson. Today, my guest is Dr. Durgham Darwazeh. Durgham recently obtained a PhD in sustainability management from the University of Waterloo. We will be diving deep into his doctoral research on environmental behavior in the hospitality sector, drawing on his global expertise and work with Sustainable Globe, a consulting initiative he founded to help companies to reduce their environmental footprint. Durgham, it's a pleasure to have you here.
It is my pleasure also to be a guest in your channel.
Dargam, to start, what was a specific knowledge gap or real world problem in sustainability management and hospitality that initially convinced you this research need to be done?
That's actually a very good question because when we get into the PhD, we have so many factors to get into the PhD. One of these factors can be to discover new things,
Mhm.
to improve our skills, or even to solve an issue. In my case, I get into the PhD because first I want to improve my research skills. I
Mhm.
want to get more engaged into the academia.
Mhm.
And also, I've captured a vital gap in the hospitality industry. And this gap was a driving force for me to get into the PhD.
Mhm.
The gap was that hotel management, they have uh, in their mind to develop sustainability initiative, but in the meantime, uh, employees, they have no clue about their role within this initiative. And because of that, the hotel management spend a huge amount of money, time, and efforts to mobilize the resources to implement the initiative, while in the meantime, employees they lose the interest because they have lack of knowledge about it, or maybe there is a lack of a prompt or a trigger to prompt these employees to engage in the initiative. So
Mhm.
this gap was a driving force for me to get into my PhD.
Mhm.
And through this gap, I was able to identify a
Mhm.
practical model, and that model called fog behavioral model.
Oh,
And
great.
the unique thing with that model is simple, it can be implementable, and most importantly, it focuses on behavioral change and not the behavior.
Mhm. Could you walk through the research methodology you selected for your PhD study?
For sure. And methodology is the crucial element
Mm.
of your PhD, and it
Mhm.
is very important. And there's various techniques and methods to start with your dissertation.
Mhm.
One method is to find the idea
Mhm.
and then uh, define or form your methods.
Mhm.
Another approach is to identify the data availability,
Mhm.
and then based on the data, you can, generate ideas. In
Mhm.
my case, I did the first option, which is
Mhm.
I have the idea in my mind,
Mhm.
and then I started to build my methodology. And the methodology was drawn around, I used a quantitative method,
Mhm.
and that quantitative method was drawn around the model of fog behavioral model. So I developed a survey, and that survey includes six elements.
Mhm.
The first element is motivation. I assess motivation based on self-determination theory, and I divided into intrinsic, extrinsic.
Mhm.
The second variable was ability, and the third variable was hotel environmental management practices. And then I used also a fourth variable, and was the organizational trust. And then the
Mhm.
last variable was the pro-environmental behavior.
Mhm.
So basically,
Mhm.
I developed the survey.
Mhm.
The survey development went through various stages,
Yeah.
and it took me around 6 months because once your survey is finalized, you still have to do your research ethics, And after you research ethics, you still have to refine and develop the survey till it reaches the final stage. And after that, I used the Qualtrics. Before Qualtrics, I faced a huge challenge to attract employer to like a hospitality firm to accept to collect data from their hotels. But unfortunately, in Canada was a huge challenge, and because of that, we decided to use Qualtrics. So we selected the hospitality and tourism sector, and we were able to collect data from frontline employees and back offices employees.
Yeah. I just wondering for your participant of your study, you interviewed the employee. Why were you interested studying the employee and why not the customer themselves?
That's a very good question. Customers have when we let's say when we try to prompt customers to engage in activities, we have to use different elements here.
Okay.
When there is a study was comparing how customer act inside the hotel and how they act in their household or in their homes in terms of environmental behavior. They realized that hotel guests, they turn off the environmental friendly behavior and switch on the egoistic behavior, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So because they feel that they are in an environmental setting where they need to be free, they want to enjoy their time and have a recreational time. So because of that, they switch off their environmental friendly behavior and switch on their let's say egoistic or self-esteem behavior. And through this, we realize that guests, they're not interested to engage in environmental behavior activities. While when they are at their home, they switch off the egoistic or, you know, the recreation forces, and they switch on the environmental friendly behavior, and they start to save electricity, save water, reduce waste. So because of that, as a study, I can interview guests and and employees and use the same research model or cell elements. I could do that if I want to do a comparison, but I already know these comparison, and various studies have done this type of study. But my study focused on employees because I do believe if the employees are engaged in pro-environmental behavior, that engagement would influence guest also behavior to pursue a more meaningful action.
Durham, what was the most interesting finding you found from your analysis?
You know, when you collect the data and you come up with, you know, a huge number of responses, that data, it becomes like a treasure box for you. It becomes like, to be honest, it's a treasure box, and it has so many valuable things. However, for me, there is various insights I got out of this data. One insight I got about the motivation. We oftentimes think that motivation is only related or directly related to behavior. And that's true according to self-determination theory. But through the research model that I developed, I realized that motivation is also a powerful tool to create a positive perception about our ability. So if you are highly motivated, you will create a positive perception about their ability to overcome obstacles to get to something that you want it. You really want it.
Mm.
And through this insight, I realized that motivation, it is not only about a behavior, but also about perception.
It's wonderful.
Another insight I captured through the data is the also the ability.
Mm.
So once we are able, I thought that ability is on. If I'm able, then I have a better chance to do the task. And this was not the case in my case. If you have high ability, you still may not do the task unless if you are facing a trigger or interfacing a trigger. When you interface a trigger, my study realized, the findings of my study realized that the higher ability you have, the more able to recognize the trigger. And once you recognize the trigger, you will have a higher chance to engage in the meaningful task. And that meaningful task, it was the pro-environmental behavior.
Right. Dargham, based on your research, what are some of the practical application your
Yeah.
research makes?
So one of the practical I noticed that we can learn through industry leaders can pay more emphasis, or policymakers, they can pay more emphasis on the, let's say, the trigger when they develop their policy, or pay more emphasis on the role of management, not as a policy enforcement, but as a trigger. And what I mean by a trigger, I mean that by identifying means to call employees for action on a regular basis, like on a daily basis. And an example of these triggers that I've included in my research, they are very simple, such as sharing employees' feedback, for example. Getting the feedback from the employee on a daily basis, that may trigger the employee to feel that the company cares about me. So in return, I'm going to get engaged on those meaningful behavior. This is one thing. Another trigger can be by empowering employees by letting them engaged in the performance evaluation of the company. Why I need to hire, for example, a consultant company or an external body to audit my company? Why I can't just empower my employees to act as an audit? Then they can learn about the impact of the performance. And this is another trigger that can, and that's why I do believe that industry leaders and policymakers can learn from the, or they can pay more emphasis on the role of the management as a trigger, but not only as a policy enforcement.
That's great. Dargham, based on your research findings, what is the most significant managerial change the hospitality industry could implement right now to accelerate their sustainability efforts?
That's also a very good question, because one of the main element that we need to achieve, or we need to form during our dissertation journey, is the identify the value, or the chain value. We need to identify the chain value. What is the chain value here? Because if I'm gonna focus on academia and focus on certain areas, but what about the other areas? Because the other areas would have also an impact. It's like a domino effect. So I do believe that one of the contribution or that can be implemented instantly is how to form or implement the ISO, for example. Many hotels nowadays, they use the ISO for food safety management, the ISO for ESG, which is environmental social governance, and the ISO for net zero carbon. There are various ISO system, and also there is the green key system and the green globe system. So this system, they focus mainly on implementing the policy. So what we can do right now is to identify each policy and see what are the triggers and the abilities that are attached to each policy. And in this case, we can create a book of abilities and a book of triggers that can be attached to these audit systems.
Durgham, you have a foot in both academia and industry. How do you ensure the rigor of your PhD findings translate directly into actionable strategies that provide competitive edge for your consulting clients at Sustainable Globe?
Yes. One of the reasons, by the way, to enter to my PhD, one of the reasons was to because I had that sustainable globe idea before my PhD, and I worked on it, and I developed a website for it, and I have a domain even, and the domain is under the .ca. So if you type sustainableglobe.ca, you will see indeed a website about this idea. And I call it till now an idea because till now I'm still in the planting stage. However, with my PhD, now I'm able to design a system where we can not only assess hotels' performance in terms of ESG or in terms of environmental, social, or governance, but also we can identify a system where we can have that kind of partnership based on constant engagement and transparency. And one of the things that I've learned from my PhD, and now I'm going to apply it in my sustainable or in the idea of sustainable globe, is how to make the audit flow or the implementation of audit system to be more engaging than just hiring a company, go inside the hotel, observe the implementation, and identify any major points. My idea is not like this. It will be more engaging, how to make that audit experience based on engagement rather than based on an audit and or based on auditor and auditee. No, it is just based on two people working together or two partners working together to create amazing outcomes. And more important, to make that experience more engaging, not only to the management, but also to the employees and stakeholders. And through that collaboration, then sustainability becoming or moving from a stressful experience to an enjoyable experience.
Yeah. I'm just wondering, in the hospitality business, as you know, the turnaround is very high, especially for frontline employee.
Yeah.
So how do you tackle this challenge?
This is a very big issue, and till now, Canada, like the hospitality sector in Canada, facing a lack of skilled employees or the lack of the ability to attract skilled or talented employees to the market. And that's due to various factors. One of the factors that hotels, they have a big issue with wages. So for example, as a student, I may accept that wage because I want only to survive, and I have very limited expenses. But for someone who has a family and for someone who has lots of financial commitment and other financial responsibilities, they can accept that limit of wage or that salary. So they have to find alternative resources of income. And I think this research that I've done, it will contribute a lot in this area, because employees, what they want. Do you think that they want money? Because money sometimes doesn't bring happiness. You know what I mean? To be honest, because okay, it may bring happiness, but for a limited period of time. But after
Right.
that, even if you make, let's say, $1 million a year,
Yeah.
do you think that would
Mm-hmm.
keep you happy?
Mm-hmm.
Because happiness only it's a
Mm-hmm.
moment. You
Yeah.
feel it and it's
Mm-hmm.
gone.
Mm-hmm.
You can't be happy for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
But employees, all they want
Yeah.
is one thing, and that was according to various studies and
Mm-hmm.
according to various
Mm-hmm.
scholars, such as Del Carnegie, if you have ever heard about him.
Mm-hmm.
He said that employees, they want only one thing, which is recognition.
Oh.
You want to recognize them. You
Mm-hmm.
want to put them under the microscope,
Mm-hmm.
looking at them, treat them fairly,
Mm-hmm.
interact with them on a daily basis,
Mm-hmm.
value their contribution, provide them with feedback, uh, appreciate their efforts. That's what employees are looking for.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, if you think that your business is not able to increase salary for
Mm-hmm.
those frontline employees
Mm-hmm.
in hotels, at least provide them with less stress work environment, pay attention to what they do,
Mm-hmm.
uh, reward them,
Mm-hmm.
recognize their efforts.
Mm-hmm.
So, but if
Yeah.
you're gonna just pay the minimum and
Mm-hmm.
also treat them as worker, they
Mm-hmm.
may leave eventually. And in this case, you may ended up paying more or
Mm-hmm.
maybe shutting down the business at the end.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very true, actually. I talked to other scholars, and pretty much this is consensus that
Yeah,
recognition is the most important. For sure, we all need money, but recognized for our
yeah,
work is very paramount. Um, and Dargham, now
yes,
looking back your time at Waterloo, where you did your
yeah,
PhD, and you also with the associated with the seed. Uh,
yeah.
what is one key advanced research skill you acquired that now find indispensable?
At the I gained, to be honest, I gained many skills. One
Yeah.
of these skills, for example, that I can, and I'm taking really big advantage of these skills. For example, I'm
Mm,
now more familiar about
yeah.
the tool, which is learn to desire to learn.
Yeah.
That tool, desire to learn, I was not familiar about it till I
Mm,
become a PhD candidate at the University of
mm,
Waterloo, and I had to work with it because I used to you know, act as a TA, and
mm,
part of my TA duty is to uh, assess students'
mm,
work.
mm,
So that was a really that was in terms of my teaching skills that I learned how to develop a rubric, how to use various online applications, and even how to use AI to
mhm,
get students more engaged in the classroom. But in terms of my research, I learned one amazing task, and I think many people may have gained that skill as well, which is scanning the article or reading the article. I I used to read. I used to spend hours reading the article, but now I can scan the article with 2 minutes and get with with all the necessary informations and put them into categories. So that's one of the crucial skills that I've learned as a researcher is know how to read the
Yeah.
article within
Yeah.
in an efficient
Yeah.
time span. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's obviously based upon going through yourself hundreds of
Oh
articles, and
yeah.
then you learn to figure out, how to really scan through the articles.
Exactly. Because when I used to read the article, I was focusing on how to capture
Yeah.
the author's
Yeah.
philosophy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's why I was spending sometimes hours or days just to
Yeah.
go back and forth with the same article.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But definitely not recommended for the new scholars. You don't want to
Oh
recommend
yeah, no.
that.
For the new scholars, you have to read every single word. You have to spend at least 1 hour, 2 hours reading the
Yeah.
article.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Dargham, what is the single most important piece of advice you would give to future doctoral researchers?
Uh, One advice that I can share with future, PhD students is to be patient.
Mm,
Because sometimes you're going to stuck in one
mm,
area. To
mm,
get out of this area, the only way that can get you out of it is to be patient.
mm,
And through that patience, you will able to get out of it, and not only get out of it and move on, but you will get out of it and be even stronger,
mm,
and you will able to do better things.
mm,
So patience is a key
mm,
to get to the end of your PhD journey.
mm,
And another advice is communicate with your supervisor. This is very important.
mm,
And the communication need to be strategic and efficient. So what that means? That means you don't really need to send your supervisor, let's say, every day an email or talk to them every day. You could just summarize what you have done and what you're going to do by sending just only one email a week.
mm,
Sending them one email a week, it will not only inform your supervisor about what you're doing, but also it will become a guideline for or a deadline for you, or a task management
mm, mm.
for you
Yeah.
to get things done. Because when you send one email to the supervisor with all the duties that you have done and what you're going to do for next week,
Mm.
you're not going to send the same email next week. You
Yeah.
have to put that you have done those
Yeah. Yeah.
list of
Yeah.
tasks and you are going to do new tasks. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
Very good advice, actually. Yeah. Very good.
So my advice: be patient. Time management is very important, and do not be strict with your ideas. Be
Mm,
flexible. Be
mm,
open to change things.
mm,
Be open to learn
mm.
things, and be open to receive feedback.
Yeah.
Always ask for feedback. Don't
Yeah.
be hesitant and don't be intimidated
Yeah.
by your professor's feedback.
Mm, yeah. Yeah, and the point you mentioned about be flexible, open to idea, because I know most of us who have done PhD, we mostly begin with a one idea, but by the time you start doing a PhD, the original idea is entirely changed.
Exactly, exactly. That's what happened to me as well. I started with an idea to develop an assessment,
Yeah,
an assessment tool. One
yeah,
professor told me, okay, so what? When you
yeah,
develop an assessment tool, so what that gonna do for or going to bring to the
yeah.
academia? And then I learned that the issue with sustainability is not about the assessment, but it is about the engagement.
Mm, that's true. Um, Now you have done your PhD. What is the next critical research question
Yes.
that you want to address?
That's why every day I try to avoid thinking about this step, because I want to enjoy the moment of success. I want to enjoy the moment of passing my dissertation defense. So I'm trying as much as possible to enjoy this moment.
You should. Yeah, you
But
should.
when I think about the next step, I'm trying to do publications, because I
Mm,
have short-term goals. My short-term goals is to uh,
mm,
publish my dissertation papers. I have
mm,
three papers,
mm,
one under review.
mm,
I have still two papers that need to be finalized and approved by
mm,
research committee
mm,
members, and also I'm also hunting. I'm on the market trying to
mm,
hunt uh, an
Yeah.
opportunity
Mm,
in colleges, in universities,
mm,
because I love teaching.
mm,
And teaching is not only, I don't treat it as,
mm,
a task.
mm,
Teaching is part of my
mm,
identity.
mm,
I love it, and it's
mm,
part of my DNA. I
mm,
can't live without it.
mhm. Yeah, I
And
feel it.
also, I'm working on the idea of sustainable globe. This
Mm,
is a project I'm full now. I'm putting most of my time on this sustainable globe idea.
mm, mm. Wonderful. Uh, to wrap up, as you're transitioning fully into your postdoctoral career, what's next
Yeah.
for you, Dargam?
The next is to uh, we will see, because as I told you, I'm I'm trying to keep myself busy.
Mm,
This is a very important
mm,
thing, because if you pass, or let's say now you're in your mind, there is uh, this idea that now you are a doctor, now you have a PhD certificate, so you have to take advantage of it. You have to apply for a job. You have to work. So if I
mm,
keep, you know, putting myself in this zone, or in this spot, I may get depressed. So what I'm doing right now, I'm keeping myself busy. I'm
mm,
working on the idea of sustainable globe, and in
mm,
the meantime, I'm trying to see what available in the market, whether it was a consulting,
mm,
or a postdoctoral, or a teaching opportunity. Uh, I would not be hesitant uh, to avoid it. I will
yeah.
apply for it and see, because nowadays it is the time to evaluate
Mhm,
yourself in the market, and it is
mhm.
time to promote yourself.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're doing right.
Thank you.
Dargam, thank you so much for sharing your PhD journey and your research. We wish you all the best.
Thank you, David, for having me again in your channel. And I hope that I was able to provide some useful ideas to your audience.
Yeah, you did. You did a great job.